Hey everybody, it's Kevin here with Interstate Explorers, and we are on our second week of our Brinkley road trip, so in this video we're going to provide you some updates about how everything's going. So far during our 2 weeks, we've made it from our home in Southern California, and we are currently sitting about an hour north of Atlanta, Georgia at the Margaritaville RV Resort at Lake Lanier. And so for our first night, we drove to the Tucson KOA, and then after that, we went to the Alamogordo KOA, which is just outside of White Sands National Park. Then for our third night, we went to the Abilene KOA, which is in Texas, and then we kept going through Texas and we made it to the other side, eastern Texas, at the Mount Pleasant KOA. We went to the Hot Springs KOA, just out of Hot Springs National Park, which is in Arkansas. And then our next 2 nights were spent in Branson, Missouri. And that was at the Branson Shenanigans RV Park. And then after that, we went to the St. Louis Northeast KOA. We went to downtown St. Louis, caught a Cardinals game. That was a lot of fun. And then after St. Louis, we went to the Berea in Kentucky at the O Kentucky Campground. And then we drove over the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We went up to about 5,000 feet, very windy and curvy, with the Brinkley with us. That was a little bit crazy there, but we survived that, and then we pulled into the Cherokee KOA, which was an awesome campsite just outside of the Smoky Mountains National Park, and then we drove to here, which is where we are right now. So it's been a total of 12 nights, a lot of driving, because, well, the West Coast is far from the East Coast, and our goal was to get out to the East Coast. So we'll be doing a little bit less driving now, as we're already in the East Coast. So now that we've done the route overview and our trip overview so far, I wanted to talk about the driving of the Brinkley. So as far as the driving's gone, everything's been very smooth. The GMC 3500 has handled quite well. We've gotten basically zero sway. The only time we got sway was in a fairly severe thunderstorm, which was in Arkansas. There was like 60-mile-an-hour winds, so we ended up pulling it over and waiting about 15 minutes for the wind to kind of die down. And on the inside, nothing's really moved. We've been over some bumpy roads and some potholes and just some things like that, and nothing's moved. As far as the underside of the rig goes, we've had some issues with the black tank override flap thing. It just keeps flapping down, so I've had to reinstall Velcro a few times on that thing, and I don't know, maybe I'm just getting to the point where I just need to put some nails in or something, or some super glue just to get that thing to stay shut, because fingers crossed, I hope I won't ever need to use that, because the electricity should be good and we should have no issues with that. The other thing that has happened is that the outside Bluetooth speaker did pop down on one of our bumpy drives. I believe this was when we went over the Smoky Mountains. So I did have to screw that back in, and I'll make sure to link the video of me screwing that back in. Wasn't too big of a deal. It took about 30 seconds to fix, but it is something important to note there. But other than that, really no issues with the driving of the vehicle. All right, so moving on to our next thing that we're going to talk about is any issues that have been occurring with the trailer, and luckily there hasn't really been any issues. All the power's worked fine. The refrigerator has been fine. We installed new lithium batteries right before we left. Have no issues with the batteries at all. No issues with the propane. Everything's been working well. There is a known trailer brake issue, but luckily we haven't had any issues with the trailer brakes. They've all been working as expected, and we're actually going to be getting those checked out in about 3 weeks or so, actually on our drive home once we're in Texas. All right, and for the last part of the video, I want to talk about some of the things that we've done and some of the things that we recommend, because we've done more than just driving and sitting inside of the Brinkley and fixing stuff on here. If you're ever passing through the American Southwest, Tucson, Phoenix, anywhere in New Mexico, I highly want to recommend the food there. The Mexican food is very good. The New Mexican food, it's kind of its own style of Mexican food. That's all very good too. Make sure that you get yourself something with red chili and green chili in New Mexico. If you find yourself in Tucson, get yourself a Sonoran dog. That's probably our favorite thing when we're in the American Southwest. If you've never been to a Buc-ee's before, I highly suggest these. They are a large gas station. They're primarily located in Texas, but you can find them in some other states as well too. I'm going to recommend going to the ones in Texas because there's more of them and they're less crowded. When you go to a Buc-ee's that's outside of Texas, it kind of is a tourist attraction, and those can get very crowded. For example, just outside of Smoky Mountains National Park in Sevierville, I believe is how you pronounce it, which is outside of Pigeon Forge, they just opened the world's largest Buc-ee's. To get into here, we had to wait about 15 minutes, and then I couldn't find a parking spot, so I just circled around while Jessica went inside, and then to get out is about another 15 minutes. So our entire Buc-ee's experience was about 45 minutes in total, from pulling in, waiting in car lines, circling around while Jessica did shopping, finding her, picking her back up, and then leaving the car line. So if you're going to go to a Buc-ee's, I'm going to suggest that you go to one in Texas because they're just a little bit less crowded and a little bit less of a tourist attraction. When we were at Hot Springs National Park, it's not super big and it's a little bit, I'm going to say, urban and developed because there's a lot of restaurants. There is some hiking. After Hot Springs National Park, we went into Branson. Branson's got a really cool kind of downtown strip area. It's kind of a tourist trap, but if you have kids, there's definitely a lot of stuff to do. It's a good way to spend a lot of money, I'd say. We primarily went to Branson to go to Silver Dollar City. We're big-time theme park fans and rode the roller coasters and went on the rides there. And so Silver Dollar City, highly recommend that place. Very well themed, just a nice park and a nice experience. And the rest of this video is going to be shot inside the Brinkley because one thing that I'm getting used to is that in the south, the weather changes quickly and there's summer thunderstorms, and as you can see, dark clouds behind me. We're about to get dumped on. The lake behind me is starting to get pretty choppy. There's some lightning, so here we are. After Branson, we went to St. Louis, and in St. Louis, we went to go catch a Cardinals game. Our goal is to try to get to every single baseball stadium. I think Jessica's at number 19 right now, and so we went to Busch Stadium. Great baseball stadium, great place to watch a game. Since the Cardinals aren't very good, the tickets were like $5 each, so that was awesome. After St. Louis, we just drove through Kentucky, then ultimately made our way to Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and there is just a ton of stuff to do there. It's a big national park. It's the most visited national park. There's kind of two sides. There's the Tennessee side, there's the North Carolina side. We stayed on the North Carolina side, and we did some of the hiking there. We went to Mingo Falls, and then also we went to the summit, and we went to Klingman's Dome, and then we went to the Newfound Gap as well, too. And we drove it both in the truck, and we drove it with the Brinkley, too. So very windy mountain roads. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park, highly, highly, highly recommend. You could spend weeks there and still have new things to do. Finally, we're in northeast Atlanta, and we're at Lake Lanier. This is a really cool RV resort. It's really big. There's a water park there. There's a bunch of bars, and then there's like the beaches on the lake. There's a lot of water sports. So far we've just kind of done that, and then we're going to be doing some more stuff actually in Metro Atlanta too. We're going to try and get to the Six Flags there, and let's ride some of the rides there, and also we're going to try and get some southern food too. So there it is. That's our 2-week update. Everything in the Brinkley's gone well. The towing's gone well. Nothing really has broken so far. Had a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to the rest of our trip, exploring the East Coast and exploring this country. So if you've been to any of these areas, what are some of your favorite things to do? If you're interested in going to some of these areas, what kind of things would you want to do? And what other questions do you have about the Brinkley? Make sure to like and subscribe, and as always, keep exploring.